Because you've had a long history of working with nonprofits, so how did you first get involved with that?
Again, I just kind of fell into it. So I know that from my upbringing, my mother was a good Muslim and always taught me, she said, it's one of the 5 pillars of Islam to do charity and to help people who are poor. So that was kind of ingrained in me from a young age. And then the year I graduated high school, my brother had moved to Seattle. So I came for a visit. And back then, you could ride the ferries back and forth all day just for paying the 80-cent fare.
Oh, yeah.
They'd never make you get off back then. And I'd done that all day and got off and was walking with my Big Gulp on the waterfront. And I saw this guy walking from garbage can to garbage can and looking for any cup that still had something in there, and he'd drink it up and go to the next garbage can. And I was fresh out of high school. I'd never seen anything like that. And he walked by me and I didn't know what to do except hand him my Big Gulp. But it haunted me, and I moved to Seattle almost 10 years later, and I started volunteering first at food banks and then soup kitchens, and then I got into grad school and decided for my fieldwork class, I wasn't comfortable studying homeless people, but I thought I would study the advocates and activists and organizers who tried to engage with the unhoused community for a direct action. And I got hooked. One of my first things I did, I ended up at a police riot. And I'm just grabbing posters off of telephone poles to write notes, and I was just hooked. And in the midst of doing all that, my parents died, and I'd started a community meal in my mom's memory, and invited other SOC students to be part of that. And I was really hooked on that too. I finished my doctoral work, decided life's too short. I don't want to be an academic, and I did applied research. For a couple of years, I ran a statewide study of unhoused families, and the report went to the governor and the legislature, and nothing really changed. So that's when I started doing direct service. The church where I had been doing my community meal, just kind of as a hobby, was starting a shelter. And I got hired and became the first shelter director, then the first executive director. We got a $2 million grant, and that's when I left. I thought, okay.
And on a high note.
Well, and I had met my future wife, and she said, I got 2 questions for you. One is, are you ready to take care of yourself and not just everyone else? And do you have room in your life for another person? And that's when it's, hey, honey, I quit. And I'm just going to go to this other agency for a couple months. They're struggling, and we're going to right the boat, and then I'll leave. And, we can get married, and we can move to Canada, because she was Canadian, and, I'm in Seattle. It took 2 years. It was a train wreck. I found, there was a lot of issues. But we saved the organization. I ended up, staying for longer in Seattle than I planned to, but we made good on it, and we came back here.